What is up? Welcome back to another video. Today it is Monday, typically the day we reserve for news. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of news today, except for the Filmomat, the auto scanning system from Germany. That's now out. It's about $1,500. I'll put a link below if you're interested. But because there's not news per se, that doesn't mean we don't have anything to talk about. In fact, I've been doing some pondering. I have some predictions for the upcoming year that I want to share with you. So we're going to do that today, and we'll just kind of see where that takes us. Before we get into it though, I want to give a quick shout out to the channel members. Their lovely names are listed here. Remember, if you join the channel, you get exclusive access to videos, early access to other videos, and the special shout out that I do every week. You also will be getting a whole lot of other perks that I'm planning on rolling out in the new year. So make sure you join the channel so you don't miss out on that, and you support the work I do here. I greatly appreciate it. If you can't do that, that's totally fine. Just like the video if you enjoy it, subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps, and again, I appreciate it a bunch. I'm not very talented at predicting things. It's just not really ever been my forte. But I am going to try, because I feel like with film photography, there's much fewer variables than other things. There's only so many, producers of goods and products, only so many variations of those goods and products that can be produced. So I think I'll have something to talk about, something worthwhile. And I might be inaccurate about most of them. That's likely. And if I am, and if, you're listening to this video, watching this video, and you're thinking, man, this guy is an idiot. No idea what he's talking about. Totally fair. I don't. Just leave that in the comment section down below. Let me know what I was wrong about, what you think is going to happen, or what you think I was right about, or what you hope will happen. I would love to hear what you guys think, and I might make a video going over those if there are enough good comments to talk about. Just keep them a little friendly. My mom watches these videos, so, just be nice a little bit for her sake and for mine. But hey, whatever. So we'll start with the cameras, because it was kind of a big year last year for cameras, or this past year, I suppose. Pentax 17, the Rollei 35 AF coming out. That's 2 new film cameras in a calendar year, which hasn't happened for a considerable amount of time. Pentax being like one of the first big companies to get back into making film cameras. Obviously Leica has been making film cameras here and there, but they're pretty much just like reskin versions of older cameras, so it's how new are they, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into this argument because it's just not even worth it, but anyway, Pentax made their own bespoke thing, right? That's cool. How it performed financially for them, I don't really know. I'd be curious to find out. I did reach out to them, seeing if they had any like clues that I could drop or anything that, I could release to you guys to evoke a little bit more excitement. They left me on red, so that's cool. I'm going to say that with Pentax, they had a decent amount of success with the Pentax 17. I think they carry that success into the new year. And if you think about it, there were rumors, right, of the Pentax 17 at the tail end of 2023. It's like Pentax new film camera stuff. Release schedule really started in the new year. They started teasing it more heavily, and then it was dropped a few months later. So their release window for a new camera is pretty slim, it's pretty short, which is great. It means that there's a lot of potential for new cameras to be dropped, but that's also supposing that they've developed a new camera kind of in line with when they were developing the 17, using lessons they learned with the 17 to kind of work on other prototypes to kind of release at the staggered schedule, as opposed to spending the years from 2022 when they announced their re-entry into film photography till 2024 to release it. If they have that same 2-year gap, I feel like momentum will really die down. But if they were developing from 2022 to 2024, the 17, and then from 2023 to 2025, their next new camera, then that would make sense in my mind. I suspect though that we'll at least get new information about their upcoming film camera, teased info, maybe a couple pictures, but ultimately I suspect that we will be getting another new camera from Pentax in the following year, 2025. That's my prediction. My other prediction regarding new film cameras is the Widelux that's coming out, the Jeff Bridges Silver Grain Classics Widelux. It seems to be a really interesting project, and I like the idea of re-releasing this kind of bespoke system that has interchangeable parts and it can be easily maintained and serviced, I think that's great. I don't think it's going to perform very well, because I think that the price it's going to be at is going to exclude a lot of people from using it. But I think the people that want to use it will find a way to use it. I think it's very similar to Leica, where Leica's producing film cameras, which is great, but that's just out of the bounds of a lot of people's budgets, and it's not really practical for a lot of people. So I think like the Widelux will be cool for a lot of people that can get it, but I think a lot of other people are just going to be kind of, okay, cool, whatever, I guess. It's an interesting idea, it makes for a great, thumbnail, but I don't think it's going to be anything more than that. And then finally, with the Mint Rollei, I don't know how successful that was either, but I've not heard like as much groundswell about it as the Pentax 17, so I'm not sure if that will carry into future projects from them. I know that they have, Mint has a series of other cameras and stuff, instant cameras mainly. They really just took like a Rollei 35, put an autofocus motor and servo system into it, which is impressive, but they didn't really do much to develop their own unique system. So outside of like taking an existing model and finding a way to modernize it, I don't envision them to make a new camera in the upcoming year. It'd be cool if they did. I don't know if they will or not. My prediction is that they won't. Maybe 2026, but it really just depends. My final prediction, this is going to be a bold one, but I don't suspect any other major camera manufacturer, Canon, Nikon, Sony, because Sony bought Minolta, so it kind of counts. I don't think that they will be making film cameras. Oh, and Olympus. Yeah, definitely not Olympus. They will not be making film cameras in the following year. And I don't suspect that they will ever return to making film cameras, with the small asterisks. The Pentax 17 success is great, but I don't think that any one of those companies can really view that as indication of a healthy market, because it's hard to say really. I think, for instance, a company like Canon is really playing with house money. They have really prominent digital photography and videography platforms. They've got great lenses. People really like them. They're well renowned. Allegedly, they might be releasing some kind of callback system similar to like the Nikon ZF, where it's, a more vintage looking body, but still has the digital functionality. And if that's the case, that's really cool, and I'd love to see that, but you also have to think that's pretty slow return, because the ZF came out a little bit ago. The Fuji systems, which have like the film plugins and stuff, those have been around for a while as well. Canon's arriving a little bit late to the game, which would indicate that it is a very large ship to maneuver. So from the Pentax 17 coming out like over the summer, that's been like 6-8 months or whatever from now. That's not a whole lot of time for them to retool a market, figure out what film camera they should make, and then figure out what it should be compatible with lens-wise, figure out if they're making lenses for it, all of these things. I think that they would be the most well-positioned company to produce something like that, but I don't think that they will, and I also don't think that they have to. Nikon is kind of interesting because they recently acquired Red, and I think they're trying to really make that work. I've been hearing some issues. I don't really know too much about that whole field. I feel like Nikon might be struggling a little bit. Hear me out. If they were to make a Nikon F7, same styling, same like size format as the F3, with some of the functionality from like the F6, big money. I think that'd be a big money move. I don't think that they will, because I don't think that they need to, and I don't think that they could, but if they did, it's a very nice thing to think about. Like, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. It's not going to happen, but it would be cool. And then Olympus. I've been saying this for the longest time. I think if the Olympus just released an XA or the Olympus stylus in the modern day, boku dollars. Like, boku dollars. But from what I've heard, they are closing down their camera production or something like that. This was, kind of older news. So that's probably not going to happen, but it'd be great if it did. It's not going to happen, but it'd be great if it did. So, look, the future doesn't look super great for new film cameras. with the film cameras that are out there, there's so much variety, there's so much utility in all of these systems. Even though the existing film cameras that are out there are like 30, 40 years old or 20 years old or what have you, you also have to think that those systems were built upon the 50 plus years of experimentation that all of those brands had done, making them kind of the pinnacle film cameras to have. And while it is cool and admirable that Pentax is reintroducing itself into the film photography landscape, ultimately there are other systems out there that do what the Pentax 17 does it better, and does it a lot more affordably. So it's a hard sell. It is cool having new film cameras out there because it gives something to talk about. It gives something for us all to be excited about, and it'd be great to see. I just don't think it's very likely, all things considered. So that's it. Those are my film camera predictions. Let's move on to the film. Yeah, because that's going to be also really depressing and exciting. Yeah. Oh, man. Film. Yes. Kind of the bedrock of what we do here. The bedrock of all of this exists around film. Is 2025 the year film photography dies? I've read enough comments on this channel and other channels to know that there's a lot of you out there that have stockpiled film and chemicals and are willing to shoot film until you can't anymore. To know that, like, film photography itself will never die. The hype behind it might die. That bubble that I talked about from 2020, that has been slowly deflating. The hype might transfer into a different hobby, but I think film will be around for quite a bit of time. Kodak has even stated that they are going to be, producing film up until 2026, and then they also have a very large, and actually really the only, as far as I know, established connection to the motion picture market. And a lot of filmmakers like shooting film. So I think Kodak will be fine. I think they'll be around for quite a bit of time. Other companies, recanning companies that use the Kodak Cine film, obviously that's been cramped down. That's been a topic of discussion. I think a lot of those will ultimately not be producing film in the coming years. I think we'll kind of see how it goes. There's probably going to be a workaround to try to get them to source the motion picture film from a third party, but costs might go up on that front. I think Cinestill costs are going to stay exactly the same as they kind of always have. Other prices might fluctuate here and there. Kodak's prices are going to be going up, specifically with the Kodak Gold in-120, as we've talked about. My prediction, and this would also be like a hopeful prediction, I think if they were to release some kind of budget 400 speed film and 120, that would be money. That is just money for them. A buddy of mine has talked about this many times, but allegedly, at some point it was teased that Kodak was going to be releasing Ultramax in 120. I cannot corroborate his sources, but it's a nice thing to think about, right? Like Ultramax in 120. It's another one of those like kind of cheaper budget films. They could kind of release it at a bit of a higher price, because if they're raising the price of Gold in 120, then there's not going to be as steep of a difference between those two prices. That'd be great, right? Like who would not want that? More options for 120, that'd be fantastic. Will it happen? Probably not, because I also think that would undercut their Portra 400 market quite a bit. Even though they're kind of different films to a degree. I don't suspect Kodak is going to be releasing any new films this upcoming year. There's just no need for them to do so. It'd be interesting to see them recan some of their films and maybe have some level of competition with Cinestill and doing what they do. But I doubt that will happen, because there is no need for them to do that. And I think whatever relationship Kodak and Cinestill have is, too good to break up or whatever. Moving on to other film companies. My prediction, Fuji is going to, I think Fuji in 2025 is going to semi-officially retire. They've been kind of teasing it, I feel like, here and there by having fewer and fewer stock releases. I've heard rumors of American-based companies not really getting their Provia and Velvia restocks in as usual, or getting less of them. Those waiting lists have increased. I don't think Fuji's long for this world because they don't need to be. Again, they have plenty of profits from their digital and their instant market. There's just no need for them to delve back into film. I think in the year 2025, Filmotech gets their shit together. Because here's the thing. Yes, the cramping down of cine film in the market will affect the availability of color film, which would be the perfect time for an outside supplier with the means, with the capital, with the technology to produce color emulsions. They could really step in big with a low cost, reliable and dependable film emulsion. They could do that, and that would be a beautiful thing. And yes, I know there's a lot of talk about Lucky in China potentially producing color film. I predict that that's kind of going to go the same way as the ADOX color mission Helios, which is big headlines and then maybe no follow through. Remains to be seen. I would be pleasantly surprised if that did, if they got released, but I just don't suspect that it will. And I think if it does get released, the impact on market, making film is difficult. Making color film is inconceivably challenging in the amount of development, the amount of materials, the amount of know-how that's required is just incalculable. So for them to say at any point earlier in this year, like, oh yeah, we'll have it done by the end of the year, I don't suspect that that's going to happen. And also with the upcoming inauguration and those things, that can't be overlooked as a potential impact to imported goods. So I think that would have some kind of play into things. Who's to say, ultimately? I'm speculating, but I don't think that the Lucky color film is going to be a thing. Filmotech steps up their game, makes better emulsions, makes more consistent emulsions. In 2025, they'll be a solid leader in that industry. But my main takeaway, my main prediction, reached out to Harman. I said, hey, guys, throw me a bone. They said, we can't tell you anything. You don't want to break it. I'll read the message verbatim, okay? Because it's pretty funny. It's pretty coy. We have lots of plans, but nothing I can share with you yet. With a smiley face, okay? This is no Pentax leaving me on red. This is a smiley face that I received from them. So, my prediction, 2025. Harman takes all of the success from Phoenix and 120, rolls that into new color emulsions that are different looks, more consistent, and more affordable. My hope is that they saw the uptick in success they had with Phoenix when the price was lowered, more people were incentivized to buy it, that they lower the film cost and produce a quality product for a lower cost. We have the company like Kodak, which can raise their prices as much as they want to because that's the most consistent and the most quality film color stock on the market. So trying to compete with those prices when you have an inconsistent product or a heavily stylized product such as NC400 or NC500 or Phoenix makes it really difficult because it's like, do I want to take good photos? Then I'm going to get Ultramax or Portra, or I'm going to get Gold or what have you. Or do I want to take fun photo? Well, I can take the good photo and maybe edit it a little bit and make it a fun photo, or I can take a good photo and it be a good photo. If I take a fun photo, the roll is going to cost me as much as a good one is. So that's kind of the thing you have to negotiate with. But if you make the cost of the fun film, the fun experimental film lower, then it's going to incentivize more people to want to experiment and have fun with it. So that would be great to see. I have another prediction just off the top of the dome here. But there's Reflex Labs out in China. I suspect 2025, with their inability to get Kodak Cine film consistently and affordably, they might talk to Filmotech and potentially release color films through them, and maybe that would incentivize them to make better emulsions. That's my bold prediction there, which I'm probably going to be very wrong about, but it would be nice. It would be nice to see. So those are kind of my predictions, right? Those are things that I think would be great for products. Here's a thought though. What is required to save film photography? To reinvigorate it, give it the shot in the arm that it needs, to maybe return some of that hype that it's kind of lost over the years. Some of the things that I can think of off the top of my head would be lower costs. Lower costs means more people can get into it, lowers the barrier of entry. Everything right now is very expensive, as you know, as I know, as everyone knows. Groceries, gas, everything, super expensive. Rent, oh my God. We have something like film where maybe there's a really affordable stock. Maybe there's something like just fun that you can do. So if you lower the cost, you will bring more people in to this hobby. It's a great way to meet a community of people. It's a great way to make friends. It's a great way to explore where you live. It's a great excuse to explore other areas. It can do so much for you. It serves as kind of an extension of a lot of creative works, whether that is videography, whether that is photography, whether that is painting, whether that is a great outlet for you. So making it more affordable makes it more accessible, means more people get into it, which would be fantastic. Ultimately, what I think the film photography community and the industry as a whole really needs something to just invigorate passion in just about anybody who will come to find it. I know things are much different now. You can't just run an ad on TV anymore because there's very few people that watch cable. It's streaming services. You get your information through specific websites, YouTube videos, other social media platforms. So there's not a singular way in which you can run a radio ad or run a TV ad and inspire that same kind of hype. But I do think there is a way that if a Kodak or a Pentax or a Harman was to design a product to come out this year and put together a high quality package to promote it, some kind of trailer to inspire the every person in an eye-catching way to try it out. And if the price is right, then it might get people more invested in it. I just think about the Pentax 17 and how that was released. I've often said that the way they did it I think was really well done, leading out little bits and pieces here and there, ultimately revealing it and then talking about it. That worked pretty well, I would say. But I think it was missing that X factor. I want to see why the Pentax 17. Sell me on why. Show the best party I've ever seen in my entire life, and the Pentax 17 is the perfect vessel to capture those moments. Or this most amazing trip, once in a lifetime trip, and why the Pentax 17 has to come with you. Sell me on the idea of this camera, how can I use it, show me applications for it, and make it visually stunning in a way that excites me or anyone watching to try to pick it up and use it themselves, try to recreate the moments in those trailers. If Kodak was to release Ultramax in 400, show the pictures that you can get with it, show the utility of the system, show how excited people are to get it. Something to just invigorate the audience, to get people excited again. I want to have something, some kind of trailer, some kind of promotional piece I can show to my girlfriend, my family, whomever, who has no experience with film photography, doesn't care about it at all, but I want something to show them and they'll be like, oh, that actually is kind of cool. I can kind of see where they're going with this, or something to that effect. And in the same vein, some kind of ad or some kind of sponsored thing or some kind of promotional piece on social media that if someone's just kind of thumbing through, it causes them to stop and check it out and be like, man, what is this? I got to get in on this. I think is what the film photography community really needs, just to inspire more passion. And I understand that there's people, I was going to say people like me, but I'm not one of these people. there's successful content creators on YouTube and stuff that get these products and they do their video and it's styled in their way. That to me feels understated. Even sometimes when I do a promotional video on here, or I do a kind of review video or something like that, it still feels understated. I kind of want a movie trailer for a camera. I want to see something that is awe-inspiring, something I go back to and I can cite as, this is what really turned film photography around. This is what people got into film photography for. Versus the Pentax 17 being released, I feel like that might have won a few people over here and there. It's an interesting thing and it definitely brought in a lot of news and there was enough hype behind it. I think people kind of were sold on it. But then we have the Rollei 35 AF where it just kind of gets dumped in the market and now it's here. Show me why. Show me the history behind the Rollei system. Show me why that platform is so important. Don't just tell me, show me how, and then show what you've done to revolutionize, what you've done to change it. Tell me about the autofocus. Tell me about all of the features about it. What makes this one so different? The pictures are cool and reading the details, that's great. Do that, because I like to see the technical specifications, but just show me why this matters. And I don't really feel like they did that. And it's the same thing with Ilford releasing their vintage packaging and stuff, and then Kodak Tri-X celebrating that brand being out for 75 years. That's cool. Can we maybe do a little bit more than like an Instagram post or a story post, or, you know, some kind of little article on their press release page? Like, make it pop. Show me why Ilford has been around for so long. Show me like why this brand should be celebrated. What famous photos have been taken on this? What famous photographer's favorite film stock is Ilford? Kodak Tri-X. Tell me more about the brand. Why has it been around for 75 years? How has it revolutionized the idea of black and white photography? What is the T-grain structure and why does that matter? Things like that that just would evoke a deeper connection, I feel like are kind of missing. And I think moving into the new year and moving into what could be viewed as a tapering down of popularity of film photography, or at least the dying down of, you know, the general audience's hype towards it, we need something that really drives the point home that, like, yes, you can shoot digital because it makes more sense. You can shoot with your phone because it's easier. But you want to shoot film because of this. You want to shoot film because of the moments that you can capture. You want to shoot film because of the intangible essence of film and the important relationship that the photographer has with the subject, with the camera, with the film stock. All of these things kind of tie together to create this really memorable experience. Sell me on that. And then I think things can really turn around. And I know that's asking a lot, but I think a little bit of effort on that front, a little pomp, a little circumstance would really drive home the importance of film photography and the reason why I think it should stick around for the next few years to come. Those are my predictions. Those are my hopes for the next year. We're gonna have to see how it shakes out. Again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, any predictions yourself, if you think all my predictions were dumb and baseless, leave those in the comments down below. I would love to hear all about it, except for the dumb comments. I could do without those. Listen, I already know, okay? You don't have to tell me twice. Please let me know what you think down below. I'd really appreciate that. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. And if you want to join the channel, again, I really appreciate that support. I've got lots of great perks coming out in the new year. Don't want to miss out on those. Join the channel and appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I will catch you on the next one.